Hello and welcome to another update video on Bitcoin. In this video, I want to again talk a little bit about, has the bear market started? Because I get a lot of questions and I feel repetition is important. So I want to talk a little bit about what I would really need to see to be able to confirm a bear market. Let me be very clear. At the moment, I cannot confirm a bear market. I would personally still prefer another high. And the reason for that is quite simple. Let me go to our larger time frame chart. Let me be very clear. So this chart here shows you the moving averages. Now, first of all, it's important to understand that I think most indicators that are out there do not show you that the bull market is over, okay? Most indicators just don't. Now, for example, we talk about even seasonalities. Yeah, seasonalities show us that there is still some room for further upside. Let's remind ourselves what do seasonalities show us. Let's go to the heat map, seasonalities heat map. First of all, Bitcoin dominance. Yeah, Bitcoin dominance normally goes up in October and then goes down in November. Very often. Yeah, in fact, October is the most bullish month for Bitcoin dominance. Now, we have seen a rally already last Friday, and it fulfilled my expectations for the October rally for Bitcoin dominance. Now, normally, though, it closes in the positive, right? And normally, we talk about like 4 to 5% in the green. Not happened yet, okay? Okay, it did that, you could say, intra-month. So we need to see if we still get another run in October. But just wanted to, because I had it open. So Bitcoin dominance normally bullish. It was bullish so far in October. That has played out nicely. What, hold on. So what normally would happen as well, let's go to just the Bitcoin chart seasonalities, right? Let's take a look at that. And so you see, normally, October is a bullish month for Bitcoin. However, if you compare like performance and you see the average is around 13%, and yes, Q4 is normally bullish, like, first of all, it's not every month, okay? Then this is, of course, seasonality, so it doesn't predict the future. It just tells you what happened in the past. Very often, seasonality tendencies, okay? So, but of course, we align with that, until the market gives us reason to doubt it. It's also important to understand that for Bitcoin, it's not October, which is normally the most bullish month. It's normally November, all right? So people confuse that. When I say Bitcoin dominance, October is usually bullish, or is usually the most bullish month for Bitcoin dominance, they think that also is for Bitcoin the case. No, Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance are different. So Bitcoin dominance is usually October, the most bullish month. November is for Bitcoin. If we talk about percentage increases, yeah, and especially if we look at, for example, we said it before that this cycle is kind of similar to 2017, not in terms of altcoin performance, but Bitcoin. And here we had in October really good performance, and November as well. So we'll see if that happens again. October is not over yet. Half of it is done, a bit more than that, but again, it's not done yet. Okay, and you might remember that we talked about intra-month seasonality as well for October, and I showed you that usually mid-October is normally a setback. You might remember that. First week, usually bullish. Mid-October, typically sideways, correction. And then, let's say the last 2 weeks or, the last 10 days, normally bullish. I'm just talking about what normally happens. So, again, just want to highlight October is not over yet. But yeah, we're clearly in a correction, and it is one of the worst Octobers we've ever had. But that doesn't tell the whole story, because October isn't over yet. But so, let's just remind ourselves here that usually September is bearish. We talked about it. So that played out differently this time, okay? But it was still not a great September, let's be honest. And then October is normally bullish most of the time. So that's why they call it Uptober. So we'll see if that plays out. Half of it is over, but, we're not there yet. And also, the fear and greed index is showing us extreme fear. I posted that yesterday on X. Guys, if you don't follow us here yet, feel free to do so. I put the link for you guys into the comment section, because this is the fear and greed index published by Bitcoin Magazine Pro. By the way, with the voucher code I put into the comment section, you get a 20% discount as MCO community if you're interested. They don't only have the fear and greed index, they also have lots of other indicators, the pi cycle top indicator, lots of different topping indicators, plus all sorts of additional stuff, CPI, Bitcoin, just lots of different indicators. To check it out, we're going through these regularly here and there in the videos. So yeah, feel free to check it out. We negotiated there a discount code for you if you want to check it out. But basically, just wanted to show you, extreme fear happened before, of course, around these dips. All right? So we're kind of there again. And so, look, I think it's important to understand October isn't over yet, right? So seasonality-wise, the market can still grind higher. We have now hit a sentiment band where normally a bounce starts to get likely. Of course, price action needs to confirm that. If something like this happens, right, of course, no extreme fear will help you, because in a bear market, throughout the entire correction and crash, of course, we would expect extreme fear to play a key role. So that in itself cannot be an indicator to tell us we're turning around. But if we have a combination of seasonalities and structure, which we'll talk about now, and then sentiment being, let's say, showing extreme fear, which means, well, actually, this is a perfect sentiment to form a low because everybody's getting bearish, right? Well, there is a case for a turnaround. Well, maybe not yet, and there is still scope for fear and greed to drop further. We're now at 22. In fact, this was from yesterday because I posted it on X. The actual live level might have changed a bit. But I talked about structure, guys. We have this support band here on the chart, you could call it, or this set of moving averages. We've got the 21-week EMA, which we put onto the chart months ago because it helped us identify if the short-term trend is still up. Just a different lens than Elliot Wave. We normally wouldn't need them, right? But they just give us some additional context, right? I talk about them very often on the MCO Global channel. So talking about structure from a non-Elliot Wave point of view, we haven't broken this 55-week EMA, which is around 98K, which is here, yeah. Like most of this price action has played out over or above that 55-week EMA. So we were here above the 55, here, and for nearly 2 years, we have not been below the 55-week EMA. Okay, briefly, but no weekly candle close, which is enough for me to say that should we break below the 55-week EMA, even though it is not so important from an Elliott Wave point of view, I have to say that, and Elliott Wave is king, it still is something that would tell me that something is different than it was in recent corrections over the last couple of years. And that is enough for me to say that maybe a top is in. Okay? So this is for me a key trend filter. The 21-week EMA is like a short-term trend filter. So that's why I said once we break below it and get a decisive break below it, we don't really have a decisive break because we don't have a weekly candle close below the 21 week. But we might get that in like, I don't know, less than 48 hours. So if we break below the 21 week, then it starts to open the door to the 100K level, 98K, right? The 55-week EMA. So, and then if we start to get weekly closes below that, I think it's starting to get more likely that we actually have a top and the bear market might have started. Looking for clues here, guys. How is it even possible to say the bear market has started if in previous corrections Bitcoin dropped 33%, 32%? Those are all the people who want to be right and who want to be the first who posted on X, but they also posted very often down here and they posted down here. Please understand that, right? I've always said we need structure to confirm. And we've only dropped like, I can't believe. I mean, we've only dropped 18%. How? How is it even that people are so bearish, getting bearish? It's it's a fundamental truth. I posted it recently also on X. If you want, again, if you want to learn about these principles, feel free to follow us there. But it was like the top forms where nobody thinks it will form, something like that, right? Now again, it's like it doesn't always have to be like that, but I don't, it doesn't feel like that to me, yeah. But then again, let me come back to why I explained all that to you. None of these indicators, including like, pi cycle top and whatever's out there, and cycle theory and all sorts of things, fear and greed, no, not fear and greed, the other one. What's the other one that nobody uses anymore? Um, Plan B's thing. You know what I mean. Anyway, none of them tell us that we should have topped. The only indicator that gives us a full wave count to the upside of an entire cycle, which has played out perfectly, yeah, is Elliot Wave, because I can call it a 5-wave move up. And in that fifth wave, even 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then in that fifth wave of a fifth wave, I can also identify 5 waves. It is a full wave count. So Elliot Wave, in my opinion, is currently the only indicator that tells us that we could have topped. Not necessarily that we should have topped. Yeah, and that's the difference, because while I have a full wave count, that does not mean that we have topped. That's misunderstanding. But it is a warning, yeah, that we are in the very late stages of the cycle, which, by the way, also cycle theory, to be honest, it's not confirming it, but there is the Bitcoin, there is the cycle length overview that we have here, which look, we are basically in that time window where a top can form. I think it was previous cycles were 1061 and 1067. I think there's this post on social media that goes around where they made a number up, I think 1064, which is not the case. 1064 is a made up number. It's 1061 and 1067 previous cycles, and we're now at, I think, around 1060 or something. I would need to look it up. But we're basically in that time window. Now, again, also here, it doesn't tell us we have topped. It's just showing us a time comparison of cycles. So to confirm we've topped, I need 2 things. I need Elliott wave structure to confirm that, and I need a break below the 55-week EMA to answer the question and to give you something to focus on. And I said, look, Elliott wave tells us the top could be in, but we haven't seen enough downside structure to confirm that. Also, this dip is weaker than we had previous dips. It would simply be a guess if I told you we have topped, just to be cool, if it works out in the end, right? But that's not responsible, right? Because there are still, and that's what we have to do. That's where we go through the jungle, right? And we go through the mess and try to identify, okay, what is on the micro level going on? And on the micro level, yeah, or for context briefly, the daily chart. On the daily chart, Bitcoin has not given us any evidence of a top. Yep, we've broken below the September low, but this here is a so-called flat correction, A, B, C, and that is a 3-wave move down, and that still allows for higher prices. Okay, I think I told you already about the 55-week EMA. If this happens, which I show you now, then it becomes more likely we have topped. So a bit further downside. That can include, but doesn't need to include, a 55-week EMA break. If we then get a bounce, which is clearly corrective, so a 3-wave move up, and we get rejected here and start a 5-wave decline, so maybe even from a higher position than where we're now, then this would give us a warning, another warning. It would add probabilities to that we have topped, because then we'll in a larger correction. And then we're probably going to drop to 90K or maybe 83. And then this is not full confirmation, but I think at that point, I will start to assume we might have topped. But at least it would be the preferred interpretation. If, however, we form a low in this region and we're holding above the 55-week EMA, or at least avoid a weekly close below it, and then start to rally impulsively, I think this could be our journey, our ticket to all-time highs. So this is how I see it at the moment. which means any rally and we get stuck in resistance is a warning, right? Whether we broke below the 55 a week before or not, but that can be an additional indicator of weakness or strength. In the short term, I wanted to focus a bit more on the bigger picture. In the short term, to be honest, there isn't really too much here that that has happened. But we talk about that every single day on the More Crypto Online channel. Feel free to follow us there for the micro. But that gives you a good idea of the overall bigger picture, larger time frame. Thanks so much. Hope you have a great day and weekend. Thank you very much. Bye bye.